All right, we are live on. Em is here, but she did not read the book.
She's really 2 for 2.
Yeah.
You're great.
So not all of the Grisha gals are here at the moment. Nicole will be joining us very shortly. We have a bet going that she's probably still finishing the book, but that's okay.
It do be like that sometimes.
Sometimes it just happens.
Sometimes that's just the way it's gonna be. Let's just go around, introduce ourselves, and say what rating we gave Siege of Storms. Siege and Storm. Well, I'm not getting there today.
It's actually a Siege of Storms. If it's a true fantasy YA book.
A
Court of Siege and Storms.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, this is off to such a chaotic start already. Welcome to my channel, Bookish Potatoes. I'm one half of the potatoes, and I gave Siege and Storm 4 stars, same as Shadow and Bone.
Hi, I'm Catherine from Catherine Zofrey, and I gave, I want to say 4 stars as well. I'm like between the 3.5 and 4 stars. Mm-hmm.
Me? Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Mare, and I am from the channel Mare Reads. And I gave this book a 3.5 star rating because I am nothing but consistent.
We love consistency.
We love consistency. Hi, I'm Katie from Katie Can't Read, and I gave Siege and Storm 4 stars, but like a high 4 stars. Like it could have been 4.5. Because I just like it so much. I'm also I'm really free with ratings. So like, it's fine.
Same. I guess I also should have asked, did everyone prefer this one over Shadow and Bone? Was this like a step up, or did people find it was a little bit of a step down?
I actually liked Shadow and Bone more.
Oh, interesting.
We're starting controversial because Shooting Star is my favorite in the trilogy.
I liked certain things of this more. Like I like that we got more insight into a lot of the characters in this one, but I liked the pacing more of Shadow and Bone.
Oh, yeah, I'd agree with that. I feel like Shadow and Bone felt like a quicker read, but Siege and Storm, there was a bit more of like a dive in. I mean, I also loved the new characters, so...
Siege and Storm is an extra 100 pages, I think, they like offer Shadow and Bone. So it's like that also has something to do with it.
All right. Let's see. So we have Ems here. Did not read the book, but we're happy to have you join us as always.
Always.
Also hasn't finished the book, but that's okay. That's fine.
That's really how it goes sometimes. And
Did anyone finish the book?
And Stacy is also currently finishing. Stacy, get that speed reading going. You can join us still.
You know, just really skim it.
Yeah, go skim. Like
Shadow. Skim through the end.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
My reasons for liking Shadow and Bone more though. I just filmed my wrap up and I talked about this, but there's just a lack of Darkling content.
Okay,
so that's not necessarily why I like Shadow and Bone more, but I missed him. I feel like
do you follow Ben Barnes on Instagram?
No, I don't.
Okay, first of all, why not? Second of all, he's been like posting fan art onto his story of him as the Darkling, and like
wait. Okay.
Ben Barnes.
I'm still not a Darkling stan, but Ben Barnes has my like heart and soul. So yeah.
Em's calling it as she sees it.
Actually, that is not the common theme in my January wrap up. That was one book, Em.
Oh my gosh. Taylor is here too. Also a reread. So I did not mention this is my first time reading the trilogy.
Same.
And then it's
reread.
Reread.
So we have some people here reading for the first time, some rereads. Beautiful. You're almost think. I don't remember how many chapters.
You're
I
in
don't
there.
know.
That's close enough.
Go.
It's close
There's
enough.
like 22 chapters. I looked at Rune and Rising, and there's only 18 chapters, but
Oh.
it's
But
like
they're
the
long
biggest
chapters.
book. Yeah.
It's thick.
I feel like this is like going to be the theme is people either thought there wasn't enough Darkling, or people who thought there was too much of the Darkling being a little creepy.
Okay,
Oh my god.
there was too much creepy Darkling in this one, and that's why.
But why? Why? Was this literally the plot of The Last Jedi?
It was. Like,
Where's the
great.
lie?
Like, I need to go find the screenwriters for The Last Jedi and ask them
Ryan Johnson, you're needed in the chat.
Shadow's own plot line. I cannot.
Literally, though.
Ryan
I'm out.
Johnson, I am Leigh Bardugo's lawyer, and we think that you stole her plot. Thank you. Goodbye.
Wait, I can't believe you just got a performance. Do we have any spoiler-free, what am I trying to say? Spoiler-free thoughts that we want to dive into?
Yeah, we could talk without spoiling stuff, I think, because most people haven't finished the book.
Sure.
Do
Do we want to go first into like just general thoughts on how this one differed, like plot-wise, writing style-wise from Shadow and Bone?
Yeah, sure.
All right, yeah.
Does anyone have any?
Let's see. Let me look at my notes. Hold on.
I know, I'm like,
Okay, I like that. I like how. Okay, this is so lame, but I was like, it's so consistent. You know, like they just like fit. Do you ever like read a sequel and you're like, this doesn't even feel like the first book? Because like this one feels the same. It has the same vibe, and I enjoy that.
And I feel like the characters are also consistent, where they definitely change and they like have like an arc, but they aren't like there aren't things that are super out of character, because I feel like that also happens in sequels where it's like, are you the same person? Like, who are you?
yeah,
I agree with that.
Y'all to a point, because I think that the writing is consistent and the characters are consistent. I do think the writing is better in this book. You can definitely see that Shadow and Bone was the debut. But I don't know. I feel like this book lacked a lot of focus, which was why it kind of irritated me. Like, I feel like the sections of the book, like the first half and the second half, are very distinct from each other. And I don't know. I feel like they were given this task at the beginning of the book, and they're like, yeah, we're not going to worry about that. And then like 50 pages from the end, and they're like, oh, you know that thing we introduced in the beginning? Let's actually talk about that, which kind of frustrated me. But I don't know. It's not that I didn't enjoy it. I just wish that it had more clear direction.
Well, and I always, every time I've read this, I've always wished that the whole sea serpent, sea whip business didn't get solved in the first 70 pages.
Yeah.
Like, I wish that was more of like a driving force.
Mm-hmm.
Because it feels like such an influential part of Alina's character throughout this is like amplifiers. It's like, I wish that was more her drive for the second book, as opposed to that being done on page 75. And then it's like, oh, what are we doing now? Traveling through Ravka? Sounds good.
right. Yeah. We have another moment of agreement with Mare.
I need more books like that, is all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I feel like
There, you could do a vlog.
I
You
want
could do a vlog of books for Raylo fans.
I need to find them first. But as soon as I have a list, I will read them all. I guarantee you.
I love it.
Literally last night I was watching Nitty's reading sprint, and they brought up Galaxy's Edge or something with Star Wars, and they started talking about Raylo, and I literally had to leave the live so that I could watch The Force Awakens, because I literally couldn't think about anything else but Kylo Ren, and I'm literally halfway through The Last Jedi right now. We're fine.
Your like Instagram story of you just simping over Kylo Ren.
And I'll do it again.
Bonk.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Nicole's here. I missed her.
Hi.
Oh, so checking that you hadn't like texted.
Gang's all here.
Yay!
Nicole, do you want to introduce yourself, share what you gave the book, how you thought rating-wise it differed from Shadow and Bone, just the little details?
Okay, well, hi, I'm Nicole from Nicole Reads, and I'm late. I love making an entrance. Just kidding. But I think I liked the second book more. And since the first time that I read it, I had already enjoyed it more. And this time around, I feel like Leigh Bardugo's writing definitely improved. And I wouldn't say that it's a 5-star because there are still like some things that I'm like iffy about, but it's definitely better than the first one. So yeah, that's all I have to say, I guess.
Nice. We were just talking, we're not in the spoiler parts yet. We had to save that for your arrival. We were talking about plot and writing style and how we felt about that. Although maybe we'd moved on from it. We're actually talking about Raylo, but
Yeah. Sorry.
It's okay. Nicole's never seen Star Wars, so
No, she needs to get on that. You would literally die for.
she just loves the Darkling for the Darkling. I was going to definitely say I agree with what Stacy said. I liked how at the very beginning of the book it felt like it immediately went into the action, like there wasn't a stall waiting for things to start happening, which was nice. But then it felt like all the action took place, and then there was a period of time where there was nothing, and then there was more action. And it was very much like beginning, end, and then this whole middle chunk.
I have a question. I'm not going to spoil anything for anyone, but I want to briefly mention the Deathly Hallows. Does anyone else feel like there's a very like striking similarity between the Amplifiers and the Deathly Hallows? Because when I was reading it, I was kind of like, this kind of just seems like the plot of that book. But Katie's like having an epiphany right now.
I have never thought of that, but now that you say it, it kind of fits.
Yeah.
Especially like all the searching they have to do and like that, it just like clicks a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say like that's like a completely original concept, but it just like I didn't feel like there was a lot going on in this book that felt strikingly original, which is just kind of like why I don't love these books. But I do think that they're a lot of fun because they, you know, they're fun, but they just don't really have anything going for it beyond that, in my opinion. But feel free to disagree with me.
No, I'd agree. I like the adventure aspect of the books. Character-wise, I mean, I think I preferred the characters and kind of how we get to know them in this book over the first book. The first book really did feel like a quick adventure read, whereas this one I feel like we're getting a bit more, and I'm hoping that in the next one we'll have like all of it kind of meshed together.
I'm excited for the third book though, after how this book ended.
Yeah.
The ending of this book is phenomenal. I forgot how good the finale of this book is. And then I was like, whoa!
Yeah. Kind of shit. I was not expecting it to go where it went, especially like so quickly. It felt very sudden, which was kind of nice. Like I felt very thrown into it.
Mm-hmm.
It felt exactly like how you would imagine it would be in that situation, where just all of a sudden it happens. And you're like, what? Whoa!
We want to talk a bit about like world building, the magic system. I feel like we got to see a bit more of Ravka in this book and like the surrounding continents, kingdoms. I don't remember what they're referred to in this series.
Well, I like that we're finally starting to talk more about the greater universe.
Yeah.
And, you know, like in the first book, like we only stuck to Ravka, and then we got to see a little bit of Novi Zem, however you pronounce it. And then like we even just talked about like how the Grisha are seen in the other countries. And it's just like it's all leading to more and more and more. And I like that part of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then also with Tola and Tamar.
I always said Tamar and Tolia is how I always pronounce it.
Okay, there we go.
But I never know how to pronounce anything.
I never know how to pronounce anything. But their upbringing is like so different also, and so like hearing about that, where they're like from like the Shu Han, and how I think that getting a little more insight into how like especially how Grisha are treated in different areas is really cool.
Yeah, I feel like I didn't entirely understand like the Grisha culture in the first book. And this book, I feel like you start to learn a bit more about how they are viewed beyond the little palace, which was interesting.
Mhm.
I don't know if I have too much to say about specifically the world building, but everything you guys just said makes me really excited to reread Six of Crows because I remember nothing but the vibes of the book. And I feel like all these pieces are so, from what I remember, all these pieces that we're talking about are really important for that duology. So I'm just really excited to explore it because I really think that I'm actually going to genuinely love it now that I actually have the context of this book series. Like, before I might have just been confused and, trying not to be like other girls and loving Six of Crows. You know what I mean? But like now I'm kind of like, you know what? Like I think this actually is going to be a lot of fun. And I also loved like this. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here, but it kind of ties in the setting of it. I just loved how the first third, it was super like random, but I loved being on a ship. Like I just loved the pirate vibes of this.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Pirate
I
vibes are
agree.
my favorite vibes. Like I have a whole shelf of piratey books. I love it so much. It was so good.
More pirate scenes in YA fantasy, please. Just like
Yeah.
more. I'm sick of castles. Give me more pirate ships.
Fair. Do we have any more non-spoiler thoughts we want to talk about, or do we want to dive into a bit more of the characters and where the plot goes?
We can go
I'm
right
ready to get
I'm
spoiled.
ready.
Banner up. It's official. Let's see if I can do it. Was that correct?
Yay, we're so proud of you.
Thank you. And no one's in timeout yet. I'm doing great. Okay, I mean, do we want to dive into the plot a bit more? I know we kind of touched on it, but I feel like we're trying not to go into it. Yes, Mare.
Okay, I just want to talk about the ending of the book. I'm getting way ahead of myself here, but I need to know, like, the reason why I want to pick up Ruin and Rising immediately is because Alina doesn't have her powers. Like, I'm just so excited to see what the heck is going to happen there because, like, I feel like she's going to handle it just fine because she grew up not knowing she had powers, but it'll be really interesting to see, like, why are you laughing, Nicole?
Because she finished the book 20 minutes ago.
Honestly, like I'm gonna be completely honest. I cried at the ending because I didn't remember anything about the second book for some reason, and I don't know, it was.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to unleash that on you right away. I didn't mean to.
Now, like I
I'm
have
recovering
tears.
from recent trauma.
Literally,
good
though,
ending.
like I definitely like felt so much emotion when we're spoileries, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
When she like is talking to Mal and being like, you should have just let me die, and like all of that, I was like, oh my God. Like, and this is kind of the second time it's happened too, where it's just like she's like, it would just be better if I wasn't here and all that. And I was just like, holy crap, this is a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love like whenever YA books like take a bit of a dark turn. I do not know why. Maybe there's something wrong with me. I love it. I was like, yes, here we go. Yes, she has to work through some trauma now. It makes me so happy.
It's so much more interesting when they have trauma to digest.
Well, I feel like too in series when you hit those middle books, that's when the protagonists get really knocked down. And like my favorite thing is to have to watch them like fight their way back up. And I'm like, okay, Ruin and Rising, like we are going to get that. Like she's going to have to fight and like claw her way back up. I'm so excited to see it. Hopefully, we'll see.
Jury's still out. That ending is so epic. I forgot like Nicole said, I totally forgot the second book. Like I remembered like the pirate ship parts and then that was it. I did not remember anything else. And I was like, yes, this is epic.
Yeah.
That's all. It's just epic.
Yeah, I knew that, I mean, the whole book, it felt like they're preparing for this like war with the Darkling. So I wasn't sure if that was going to happen in this book. Like I was expecting that to be like the big ending of the whole trilogy. So then when the Darkling attacks the little palace, no, that's the other palace. Where they are, the big
Grand Palace.
There it is.
The big palace.
Happy birthday, Nikolai. I'm going to destroy your house.
Yeah, I was honestly not expecting anything that big in this book, and I feel like that made a huge difference for like my reading experience. Like when I look back on that, I'm like, yeah, that took me by surprise. I did not want to put the book down after that. Like I just wanted to read all the way through to the ending.
I completely agree.
Yes, that part.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
100%.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also really liked, like, with that ending, the fact that not all the like main side characters made it out of there also, like especially with like with Marie, where she and that broke me.
It surprised me. I didn't think Leigh Bardugo was going to like sacrifice characters.
You're like, no, she's not going to kill anyone. And then she's like, ah.
Yeah, I was like,
I think that was important, especially with like her kind of character, because she is like a more innocent type of character.
Yeah.
And someone who like was there for Alina, but like also was not like super in all the war stuff, and for her to like be killed during that, like I feel like it's definitely a important moment.
Yeah. Agreed. Do we want to like go into specific characters?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I feel like we've definitely touched on a lot of this, but Alina as a main character in this book, did we find we liked her more than in the first book? Less? I know Katie thought she was hilarious.
I did. Oh my gosh. She made me laugh so hard at one part. I said this in my video a couple days ago, but hold on. I need to grab the book so I can read it to you. Everyone must know.
Down in my notes too.
Okay, I literally had to tab it because I was laughing so hard during our sprints, I think. I was doing some kind of sprint. Okay, here we go. Page 45 of Siege and Storm. The Darkling just stared out into the waves. I considered shoving him over the railing. Sure, he was hundreds of years old, but could he swim?
Honestly, a legit question.
Fair. Completely fair.
That solved all her problems.
I wish she done it.
Like, Mare and Nicole are silent.
Alina's so funny in this book. Oh my god, she's so funny in this book, and I forgot how funny she is. That's all.
Yeah, I feel like I had mixed emotions with her again. Where I mean, I feel like it all comes back to there's so much going on in her world. She has a big job to do, and she's so concerned about like the men around her. I'm like, girl. Like,
there are bigger problems.
Put your energy somewhere else.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think my biggest complaint with Alina isn't necessarily like, it's not her fault, like as a character. It's more so I have personal beef with Leigh Bardugo because I feel like all of her characters just need work. Like, especially in this series, like it's just like, I don't really feel the same connection, I guess, to them as you guys do. Like the side characters, I could care less about. Like I don't really root for anyone except for him because he's the most interesting one. And I wish like all the characters, like I had that strong feeling towards. And like my big complaint with her character work in this book is that I feel like we were just told, oh, she's powerful now. Oh, she can do this and that. And like, I love a good training montage. And I just wish we would have gotten something like that so we understood how she got from point A to point B, because she can say like, oh, I'm this big, powerful girl now, but like, how did you get there? Like, I want to understand her experience of that. And I don't want to just be told like, Alina is this powerful woman. Like, I want to see her become that because I don't believe it if you're just telling me that. So that's why I'm like struggling with these books. I think like, not that I'm struggling, but like why I don't love them as much as I want to, because they're a lot of fun, but I just feel like I'm struggling to connect because the characters aren't as fleshed out as I need them to be. I just don't really feel like I can really empathize with them and like understand them, except for the Darkling. We know he's the exception. But yeah, that was really well did. But I just wish I had more time understanding how she became who she is.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, yeah, I don't know. Alina, I have nothing more to say. I thought I did. That was it. Just
Alina. I feel like she also just needs a hug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this girl, she needs like some therapy and she needs a hug. Yeah, I did.
She needs help.
Yeah.
I did like that she did step into kind of the leadership role, and like I like that she like had kind of a rocky start, but as soon as she did start to be like, okay, no, I do have to be this type of leader, and her like combining the first and second army and like being like, we gotta work together, and seeing how much more powerful they are when they work together. I really liked that.
Yeah.
I also love when she destroys like the clickiness of the little palace. She's like, you have to eat with other people. And I'm like, yes, queen. You.
I think that also made the ending like hurt more, because we saw that the Grisha are finally like losing the cliques and like getting to know each other as people and not divided by their order. And then suddenly like they're all working together and we're like, yes, we're going somewhere. And then it's like, you're all dead.
And you die.
I feel like it was effective, because otherwise, I don't know. I feel like, I'm not super emotionally invested in there's a couple of characters, we'll get to them, but like maybe one. Like everyone else, I'm kind of like, okay, like you're just moving the story along for me. But there's only like maybe one character who every once in a while I was like, oh, my heart hurts for you.
Right now, is Alina 17 or 18?
She's 17 the whole series I saw today. She doesn't turn 18 during the series.
Because, like, I was just thinking about it, and it makes sense that she's 17. Like, she is only thinking about boys, and, like, it makes sense that that's the way she acts. And I feel like we don't get to see that a lot in YA fantasy. Like, we have 17-year-olds who act like they're 24. So I feel like that's what makes this book a little bit different. But I wouldn't say that I'm the biggest Alina fan. I don't know. There's something about her that I just wish was a bit different. I don't really know what it is, but there's just something that she's not my fave. So, like, if she would die, I wouldn't care. Like I wouldn't be bothered. I wouldn't. Yeah, I'm serious. Like I wouldn't cry. It would just be like, you know what I mean? Like,
I agree with you. I'm not super attached.
I feel like I'm not. I just feel so neutral on so many of the characters, in the sense with Alina where she'll do things and I start to get really annoyed with her, but then she'll like amend for it, and I'm like, oh, okay, so like you eventually got there. So like I don't find her character annoying, but I do find myself getting annoyed with her frequently enough that I'm like, I don't love you. Oh my gosh, I'm losing my voice. Do not know where that came from.
Yeah, I wanted to comment on something you said, Nicole, where you were saying, like, I think it's normal for, a 17-year-old to think about boys. And I agree with that. However, I think that because there's so many interests in here that I started, like, she started to introduce Nikolai as a possible love interest. So I literally was like sighing, because I was like, we don't need a love square going on here. We need a love triangle. Like, pick one and like focus on that. Because like she needs to focus on herself. I don't think there's anything wrong with exploring relationships. It's just I feel like there's too many to explore. That's where I get.
Yeah, I feel like I would have liked it more if she had like no feelings for Nikolai. And
I agree. If they were platonic best bros from the first time he was on page, like that would have been it for me. I would have been like, yes.
And I feel like
it got weird.
Yeah, like,
weird.
going into the book, I knew that there was like a third person introduced because everyone's like, you're gonna like him. And I was like, okay. But I met him and I was like, oh, I do like you, but I don't see you as a love interest. Like the only reason I would even consider him a love interest is because he's so clearly interested in her. But like if that weren't part of it, like just the way their characters interact, it's like, yeah, they don't need to be love interests. I honestly don't even see him as someone who's like in the running, you know?
Yeah, and I don't think he is like genuinely interested in her either. I think it 100% is like a more political thing. And because he is a prince, he's kind of like always known that it's like whoever he marries, it's going to end up being a political thing and for political power. So I don't know if he ever actually like has genuine like feelings for her in that way. Like I think he finds her intriguing, but I don't know if I ever see him like showing real feelings, you know?
And I also feel like he in general is a flirt. So like we can't really know if he actually has feelings for her, especially since the book is in Alina's point of view. But I don't know, I think that's what makes me like him so much. Like he's just so outgoing, he doesn't really care, and I don't know, I'm just really attracted to that kind of people. So I feel like I love him.
But like when he did say to her, when he said that he wanted to kiss her, but he wouldn't kiss her until like she didn't want to be with Mal, that did hurt my heart. Like I was like, oh,
I'll kiss you, Nicola.
When that happened, yeah,
like that one did hurt me. That was the one time I felt like he was genuinely like, ooh, I kind of like you, but
why did they like her? She's so boring.
Well, okay, so this is all from Alina's perspective, so maybe she just thinks
no one likes her.
And she's so unreliable. Like I forgot how unreliable of a narrator she is. She's so unreliable. It's hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
Hi, Paige.
Joining. I'm just gonna pop some of these up. This was also I found really interesting because I didn't honestly like think twice about it while I was reading. I was just like, correct. I guess this was mentioned and I just skipped over it. But now it sounds like maybe this was a newly introduced thing.
I think it was mentioned in Shadow and Bone when her and Mal are like hiding in the cave and they have like, she has the light and that's like the thing that keeps them warm. And I think she was like, she said something about like the light that like kept us alive may have also been the thing that like finally the Darkling found them by spotting that.
So, I feel like we just don't know much about.
Yeah. I just think it's incredibly unreal. Like it's magic, so it's unrealistic in the first place, but I find it incredibly unrealistic how she just knows how to use her powers and like harness them instantly. I'm like, girl, who taught you that? Like, how'd you get here? Like, I don't understand. But I mean, I'm just the kind of person who like wants more, I guess, from a magic system. Like I want to understand how and why it works. And I feel like I never got that.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it just would have been nice to like have a bit more of a deep dive.
I think actually that like a lot of what her jump in magic comes directly from her second amplifier because it happened in the first book too. When she got the first one, she had a huge jump in power, and the second one, she had a huge jump in power. So that's probably exactly what it is. We just never got it better explained. It was just like, it's the second amplifier. You got it? You good? We're moving on. And we're like, yeah. Why?
I did love though how like with the power, like she was aware that by getting this power, like there was that price and like she could feel like the darkness creeping in, to be dramatic about it. But like, I thought that was interesting, and having her be such an unreliable narrator the whole book, I was trying to piece together what was happening to her, like right there with her. Like, she's like, I don't know, especially with the Darkling showing up, when she's like, I don't know if I'm losing my mind or if he's actually here. I was like, yeah, I don't know. Are you going crazy? No idea.
The kiss.
Oh, let's talk about that. Hold on. Can we discuss? That's disgusting.
That made me so uncomfortable. I knew it wasn't Mal too.
My skin was crawling. I was so uncomfortable. I'm like, okay, sexual assault king. Gross.
I mean, with that, do we want to move into the Darkling? Do you want to talk about him a little bit? How are people doing?
I mean,
I feel like Shadow and Bone, I was like, ooh, I'm intrigued. Like, you're a bad person, but I'm interested. This book, I was just like, ooh, creepy vibes, highly uncomfortable.
I loved it. I'm sorry. No one needs my opinion on this anymore, but I just couldn't stop envisioning Raylo. Like,
oh my God, Mare.
You're not wrong. I mean, I literally told you that.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm gonna excuse myself from this discussion, Nicole.
well,
put her in timeout.
Kick her out for 5 minutes.
I think we didn't get to see a lot of him to actually feel something different. Like, I still love him, and I feel like he's a great villain. I obviously don't want him with Alina because that makes no sense. Do I want him for myself? Maybe. But I feel like in this book, we don't really get to see much of him. And I'm just waiting for the third book because I think that's when I realized how great of a villain he is.
Okay.
So I'm just like waiting on that.
Well, while we're talking a little bit about the Darkling, I realized a really interesting parallel between him and Alina this time that I didn't pick up on the first time is that as Alina's like searching for these amplifiers and for this power, like she slowly starts to get more like him in terms of like the thirst for power and the thirst to be the most powerful Grisha around. And I thought that was really interesting just to see how that differs.
I liked that too with her character. Don't know why I didn't pick up on this earlier, but there's this idea of her being like the sun summoner and her magic is light. And in the first book, she was treated very much as like the stark, like good character, and he's like the bad. Whereas this book, because she could like feel that darkness, I feel like it was a bit more like middle ground for her. It was a very gray area. And by the end, when she's using the darkness against him, like she is almost at that same point as him, where she's like, I don't care who I kill. I don't care. Like, it just has to be how it has to be. So I thought it was interesting. Like, as she's like using her light magic less as a character, she's less like good traditionally. I don't know if that made any sense. It makes sense in my brain.
No, it totally does. One thing that I found really interesting was his like for the Darkling, because you don't get to see a lot of him. However, you can see him like starting to lose control. Like in terms of like he started summoning these things that are like abominations.
So scary.
So terrifying. Oh my God.
So cool on screen.
Like absolutely terrifying. But the like Alina says like this is something that's obviously taking a toll on him. And so seeing him start to like kind of lose control, that he like so clearly had a control on everything in the first book. Like he had control over the Second Army. Like he had control basically over what the king was doing. And now like he's losing a lot of things and he's like kind of losing a lot of himself too. And I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, there was one moment like I wrote the quote down because I thought it was interesting. He said, I put my trust in a girl who cannot stand the thought of her own potential. And that was like near the beginning of the book. But I was like, okay, he's going about it the wrong way. Could not like disagree more with how he's doing this. But that also is very true. Like Alina, I think just wants to be this like simple girl with no magic. She really at the end of the day just wants to like go live her life with Mal. And she has all this potential like for good in her case that she can use, and she's too afraid to use it. So I feel like in that way, like he's an interesting villain because he's actually pushing her toward her own potential more, but just not the right means.
Yeah.
There we have. Yeah, I wonder too how much more we'll get out of that in the next book.
We'll see, shall we?
I don't know what happened.
Maybe this is a good transition into Katie talking.
I'm ready to defend him, okay?
Okay.
I'm so ready. Because this is the book where it was like, well, he's the worst. But like I get it. Like I see it. As I was reading this, I'm like, I see it. He's a little bit of a brat and like I see it. But
I have my
like
notes.
thinking about I was thinking about his point of view and like what he could possibly have been going through throughout this. Because we're only seeing this from Alina's point of view. So like she only sees him as being like, because all she wants is all this power. She doesn't even think about what this is like meaning for her from the eyes of others around her. And so I feel like Mal is just watching this girl that he loves slowly turn more into the person they both hate. And he so desperately wants her to not go there. And he's like, he's like Alina in the sense of like, he just wants to be simple and to, you know, live a simple life and track animals in the forest. And and now he's sucked into all of this political drama that he doesn't want to deal with, and he's in the little palace for the first time, and he's like, I just don't want this, but he's also the best because he's ride or die. He's like, yeah, I don't agree with you, but I'm gonna help you because I love you. And that's probably it.
I agree with all that. Like, I
he's
really
also like 17, so people are like, oh, he's so moody.
Okay.
Like, have you met a 17-year-old boy? Have you met one?
I feel like
You're
a lot
not
of
wrong.
like it's like in Shadow and Bone where he was making sacrifices, but I felt, as the reader, I felt guilty because I felt like he was kind of like, yeah, I'm doing all this for you. And it's like, oh, okay. It's like, you can't just do the nice thing. Like, there has to be, I don't know. I felt like I agree with what you said because he did sacrifice a lot for her. And he was a ride or die, which I'm like, we do stand that. But also there were times where I was like, oh, like when she finally told him that she thought she was losing her mind and how the Darkling was showing up. First of all, the entire book, I was like, please talk. Please talk. Just tell him. So many of these
Use
problems.
your words.
I agree.
Just speak to each other.
And then
They
she
need
did.
to talk to each other.
I was so proud of her. She's like, now I'm losing my mind. And I was like, yes, Queen, tell him. And he walked away. Like, that hurt me personally. Like, I thought that. I was like, oh, he's not going to walk away while
I
she's
think-
literally... That one hurt.
Like, he not only just walked away, he grabbed the alcohol and he left. And then he got drunk.
And
Could you imagine though? Could you imagine though? You're stuck in this love triangle you don't want to be in with a girl you love more than anything, and she's like, "I think I see the Darkling at night," and he's like, "I just need to go get drunk and fight Grisha real fast." Like I can just feel it. Like I get him. Like I get it. So he's 17.
I felt like I get a lot of his like motivations and stuff, and I do understand where he's coming from to an extent, but I do also like he has a lot of double standards in terms of like at the beginning of the story he's like kind of the breadwinner and he's the one who's like getting all the work so that they can live, and Alina, she just wants to be useful and she can't use her powers and she's like getting frustrated and all that. And then as soon as it like gets kind of flipped on him, he like has a total like breakdown and is like, wait, suddenly I'm not the useful one, you're the one who's like important. And like that was really frustrating to me. I'm like, she was like ready to like sacrifice not being able to use her powers, like be like sick basically. She made herself sick to survive and to do what they had to do. And then as soon as like she's asking you to do kind of the bare minimum and just kind of, because I felt like he was very ride or die in the first one, and then in the second one he like lost a lot of that of like, nope, I've reached my limit, I'm out. And I like was not super into that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, and there's also all of those sections where he talks about how much he hates being at the little palace. And like it's not even connected to her. Like I just like, as someone who's been in like situations where you're like you just hate where you are like physically, like that also takes a toll. It's not entirely about the relationship at that point. It's him being like, I just don't want to be here. I want to be on the run with you, kissing in tents or something, you know, like.
I just feel like he's so possessive, and I feel like that's what I don't like about Mal. Like, I wouldn't care
He's
about him or anything. No, okay.
Out of all of them, it's him?
No, I know that the Darkling is possessive and everything, and I admit that obviously he's the villain. Like, I understand and I see that, but we're supposed to see Mal as love interest and this like likable guy. But I cannot like him when he acts like my ex-boyfriend. Like,
The cowboy.
sorry, but
Okay.
it's just
Who's the real
That's so
Connor
funny,
here?
though. Who's the real Connor? He's a Colton, okay?
like
Mal is
Please don't change his
Colton.
name.
I don't know.
I just want to add to what Paige says right
Yeah,
here,
so
where there was one line that Mal said where he was like, I just wanted you to ask me to stay. And like, I just wanted you.
That made me hurt. I was like hurting for him. I was like, bruh, he just wants her to love him, but she's out there being like, maybe I could be queen. Maybe the Darkling does come back to me in dreams. And like, he's just like, please.
She was going through a lot.
That is true. This is fair.
I mean,
But
they're both individuals who are going through their own stuff at the end of the day, but I feel like the fact that he, like, I agree, I see his side, and like that I just wanted you to ask me to stay. I was like, ooh. But also to me, he wasn't considering that she was literally trying to stop a war. Like, she was trading and trying to bring the Grisha together and doing all of this to save everyone. And he's like, but what about me?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think he was placing blame in Alina when he should have been placing blame in himself. Because like similarly to how like Alina needs to work on herself, like he shouldn't be doing things for other people. Like he should be doing it because he wants to do it. And like you say, like, oh, I did this for you. Well, that was she didn't ask you to do that. Like that's all on you. Like you should be doing things because you genuinely want to do them. And to blame someone for, you know, not, I guess, how do I word this? I guess like to blame her for like not responding to like his actions the way he wanted her to just seems like gaslighting to me. But like, what do I know? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there was a bit of both in this though, where she was like, I'm trying to be the
she
savior.
starts to get power hungry a little bit, and I very much can feel that.
Yeah, I feel like she was justifying her actions where she was getting power hungry as like, well, I'm the savior, I'm the good one, so I can justify the means to this. But I'm sure
unreliable narrator point.
Yeah. Very true.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I agree, Mare, with they all just need therapy.
I liked
Truly.
Mal a lot. Like I was rooting for him and Alina, and then like in this book, it just that scene rubbed me off the wrong way, and now I understand the slander. I don't know. They just need to be alone.
Yeah.
They need to be locked in a room to talk it out.
Yeah.
Talk it out.
I feel like that's a big thing for them both too, though. Like at the end of the day, the only way I see like this couple being happy is if they are living that like simple life alone, away from Ravka. Where like, but that's just not realistic anymore. Like that's not where things are headed. And Alina does have all this power and responsibility. And I feel like Mal is still holding out for the girl she was instead of who she's becoming, which I feel like is a theme you see a lot in young adults because it is like the coming of age and the story arc and the growth. But instead of like,
he didn't want her when she was just normal.
ooh, that's true.
He did though. He just didn't realize because she had to go away. And then he was like, wait, I want to talk to her about everything. Every moment of the day, I want to tell her, wait, is that because I'm in love with her or because she's my best friend? And then he's like, oh, it's because I'm in love with her. It had nothing to do with when she got powers because he didn't even know she had powers. He thought she was dead. So, okay, I have to pee really fast.
Like Katie's not here to defend Mal, so I guess we have to change the topic. This is true. The Firebird I thought was really interesting because I, as a reader, couldn't decide if I actually wanted her to get it or not. like I'm interested to see what that third amplifier would do, but I'm also kind of like, ooh, Alina, let's like maybe not worry about this right now.
I'm also, I don't know, I'm kind of confused by that whole situation because they're like, no, Grisha can have more than one amplifier, and then Alina's like, I'm gonna go get 3. Like, girl, that's obviously not gonna work out well for you. So I don't know.
I mean, I think they can't have more than one is because then it does lead to kind of the
downfall.
The greed and the downfall and the
Yeah.
kind of losing your mind type deal.
Getting lost to the power.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like also another thing in this book that was interesting was with the Darkling showing up so much and her never knowing when he was going to show up. There's this feeling of like there's no security. Like even when she's alone, she doesn't know if like she is alone entirely. She doesn't know who's going to be there. And I feel like that would be like obviously highly traumatic and stressful. So I think there's that side of it too that was interesting through the book. There was like this underlying tension. Hi, welcome. Thanks for joining. We're talking all things Darkling right now.
I think her and Mal just need to play a game of like real or not real, you know, do a little Peter.
Oh yeah, a little Hunger Games business.
Sorry, Nicole, what were you gonna say?
No, I forgot to, when we were talking about the ending, how Alina's like doing that thing to the Darkling and she's like holding him by his neck and he's trying to like get rid of it. And she's like, I just pulled him closer to me.
Yeah, what about that, Nicole?
Nothing. I just.
She wishes it were her. Chaos.
We have a point for Alina.
You're right. I'm sad about another awesome creature dying.
Yeah, that was sad with the sea whip. That was like, especially like I sacrificed the peg, and she like get power from sacrificing. So I'm like, oh, why would you kill another? It's not adding up for me.
Chaos.
Do we want to talk a bit about some of the side characters because I feel like there's a lot of love for them.
Yes.
Wait, I do have to acknowledge what page.
That's just what you do. You gotta kiss the monsters away. When they start to get too violent, you just gotta kiss them away.
I'm like legit crying right now.
Those monsters are so scary. Oh my gosh.
I think it was like supposed to be like a transfer of power type thing.
Right. Yeah. That's what I got from it.
You kiss the power out and then
it's like she's like a dementor, you know? She's stuck in. I'm sorry, kick me out. I gotta
go. What about I don't know their names? Our siblings, the dynamic duo. Tamar.
I love them. Yeah. Underrated. Yeah.
I really love them. I loved having another like female friend for Alina to not fight with because I feel like we saw that. I mean, we had Jenya in the first book, but everything with I don't remember her name, Zoya. Is that it? Maybe.
Yeah, Zoya.
Yeah, I was like, why are we against women? So like having Tamar come in as this like strong female character just to be friends with Alina and like she really cared about her and protecting her. Obviously there was like an ulterior motive to that, but I really liked it. It was cute.
This book has always felt like this series has always felt like such a boys' club to me, despite literally featuring like a female protagonist and a female author. Like there's just like so many like main male characters that do a lot more than most of the female characters. So whenever there's a really cool girl in this series, I'm like, yes, more. Like, and to me, Tamar is like the pinnacle of cool. She's like, yes, I am a heartrender, but I also am very good with axes and swords and fist fighting. And I'm like, I want to be you.
I love that she just has axes strapped to her thighs. Like, honestly, goals.
Queen.
Yeah.
Queen.
Yeah. And I love,
And I love that.
No, go ahead, Katie.
Okay, I love the dynamic between her and Tolia because she's like small and feisty and like will kill anyone. He's just like a big softie who's like, I'm here. Every time I picture him, I picture like in Mulan, like like the big friendly one. Like that's Tolia in my head.
Oh.
He's just all, ooh, I'm here. And
He will smash your head with a watermelon, but also he will pick you up and rock you to calm you down.
And he would.
Yeah, I agree. I really liked the two characters, and I don't know if this is good or bad. I felt like I cared a bit more about them than Alina at times. Because like I wonder what they're doing right now.
This is me being a side character stan because all the rest of the side characters, I'm like, I like you more than Alina right now. I like you.
They haven't done anything wrong.
Well, actually, one thing. Well, I don't know what were you gonna say?
Oh, no, I was just gonna say the ending. I feel like I'm still unsure what it means. Like I don't know what to think about them having worked with the apparatus. Anything. Why?
Appetite.
Yeah, that guy.
The appetizer.
Because there is that idea of like, yes, they betrayed her, but they also were protecting her and like looking out for her. But then were they only do that because it's for their best interest? I'm interested to learn more about what was brewing throughout the book that we did not see.
I mean, so I definitely, because I'd read the book before, I was able to mark like foreshadowing of when they like would mention things like, oh, we grew up in a monastery, and we like are very like believe in the saints, and that our powers are like given to us in a sort of way. And yeah, so I think that there's definitely little clues kind of peppered in there as to like the fact that they do think that Alina is more than just like the sun summoner. They do see her as like almost some sort of saint. But I do like that they're like, no, we are loyal to you, not him.
Yeah. Agreed. Any more thoughts on the TT siblings? So I'm just going to refer to them
They're
as
just so fun. They're so fun. I forgot, actually. This is a reread, and I did forget their influence in the end. So it totally took me by surprise because I forgot completely. And I was like, ooh. Dang. But yeah, they're cool.
Yeah. I feel like the jury's still out on the apparatus.
I hate him.
so much.
Like in Shadow and Bone, he terrified me. I was highly uncomfortable every time he showed up. I was like, Alina, get away from the dark corridor with the creepy man. This book, though, I am interested to see like what he thinks he's doing, like how he plans on protecting and helping her, and if it actually is like for the greater good, or if this is just another person like setting out for their own achievement at the end of the day.
I think that Alina does mention something about him, like he's putting her up on this pedestal, but like what good is a saint who's alive? Like she says something along those lines, and I'm just like, ooh.
I do think it's really, the thing I do like about the apparat, and like it's the only thing, is I like that. What I like about this book and his influence is that I never really see a YA fantasy where there's like so many different, like where they have like a major national religion trying to pull her one way, and the king trying to pull her another way, and the actual Grisha trying to pull her a third way. Like usually it's just like two ways, but like seeing like the Ravkin religious leaders being like, no, we want you to be a part of our side of this war is really interesting.
I think there's also like another way with Mal and how he's like, let's run away.
Alina's gonna have no limbs left.
There's 4.
What about our King David? I know Katie, I think you were pretty passionate about him. Catherine too. I felt very neutral on David. I liked him, but I wasn't like David.
Okay.
You know?
Okay, my love of David did not even come until I read King of Scars for the first time, and now upon reread, I'm like, the love of my life,
Okay.
the best character in the
From, like,
series,
more
and
info.
not just because it's the only name I can pronounce, but like straight up, why is he the perfect side character? He's hilarious. He's he's so smart.
I
And,
just
like-
love how passionate you are about a character. When I'm reading, I'm like, oh, there's David. Like, I'm not like,
Yeah.
David on the page.
Literally, you have no idea how like stupidly passionate I am about him. Like, I'm so dumb, and it's not even the first time a side character has been more important to me than any of the main characters, and I don't understand why it happens, but it does. Anyway, he's like, what was really fun about reading this again with David was like how much he tells Alina he's so sorry for what he did, and like just the smallest ways. You know, like he's genuinely like remorseful for being forced by the Darkling to
Yeah.
collar her. And then like same with him being like worried about Jenya the whole time. I think it's precious. And I'm like,
Yeah.
more please.
It's interesting how in Shadow and Bone we don't see much of David. We just see Jenya, like that she likes him, and we don't really know how David feels about her. And then seeing that like he does care about her, even though they're like on different sides right now. I thought that was cool to see.
He's so worried about her throughout it. And then like when at the end when she like is revealed to be like all broken and he's like he gives her like a hug. I'm like, oh my god, more. Bless.
Poor
Anyway,
Jenya. Like,
Yeah. I feel like
She
her
deserves-
character is interesting because she also is someone who, like, she's not your typical good character in the sense that she's like working with the other side, but she is like morally conflicted, and she does genuinely care about Alina. I think at least like she does care about her as a friend, and she let her escape, but like obviously there was a cost for her, but she still hasn't left the Darkling. Like she up to the end was still working with him.
well, I think it also shows just how much influence the Darkling has over the Grisha and how much brainwashing he did for all those years.
Yeah.
Because she was like just so ready to like follow him, and then the only reason she came back was because she was literally tortured.
Yeah. Yeah, that was cute. I kind of forgot about that moment where he sees her and you're like, oh.
Emotional.
Yeah. And Alina
Emotional.
telling the Grisha, I forget what it was that they were calling her, like the ruined one or something like that. And she was like, if anyone calls her that again, you're cutting their tongues out. I was like, okay, yes, loyal to our friends.
I love Jenya, and she deserved so much better. But she's also like such a gray character, and I think that's so
Yeah.
interesting because
Yeah.
there's not a lot of that in this series. Usually everyone is like on the good side or on the bad side, and she's like, I'm in the middle somewhere. I appreciate that.
yeah, I do like that for a lot of the characters. It's not these people are 100% good, these people are 100% bad. There's like a lot of like overlap, and they're like, okay, but what are their motives and what, like that whole like morally gray area.
Yeah, I feel like the more we're talking about it too, the more I'm realizing there is a lot more gray than I felt like there was when I was reading. Like it's nice to reflect on it. So like this happened with Shadow and Bone too. I was like, oh wait, there is more going on than my brain picks up. Do we have any more characters that we wanted to talk about? Anyone else? Anyone's particularly passionate?
Did we talk about Nikolai?
Oh, we
yeah,
didn't talk about Nikolai.
I felt like we did because I had a moment of like gushing, but I feel like we didn't like go into it. What are our thoughts and feelings, ladies?
I
just
love him.
How did Leigh Bardugo create the perfect character in the entire world? He's a pirate. He's a prince. He's like, he talks a lot, but he's not annoying. Like, you don't want to punch him like you do every other male character that talks as much as he does. Like,
Yeah.
how did she do it?
Oh, I did
But
say I
then,
want to punch him at times.
Oh, I mean, don't we all?
I was like, I want to kiss him and I want to punch him, and Alina got to do both.
Yeah, true.
I love when she punches him and then kicks him in the shin. Like, yes, queen.
Yeah, that's good. I find it interesting though because clearly Leigh Bardugo is capable of writing these great male characters. I mean, and arguably the Darkling is also like an amazing male character. He's just like on the other side. But I'm kind of like, Mal, Like, I know
Yeah.
you can
Man.
read this, so why'd you
Claire,
give me-
wait till the character she creates in the Six of Crows duology. Claire, you're gonna love
I'm
them.
so excited. I cannot wait to get to those books. Like, I'm so excited for it. Yeah.
You think I'm ranting about Mal now? Just wait till you see who I'm defending in the Six of Crows live show. Oh man.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
Yeah. I loved him. I feel like you all told me I was going to. So I was waiting for him. And then the whole beginning of the book, I was like, where is he? And then I was like, oh, he's been here the whole time. That was a good little reveal.
Loved him as the Stormhond. Is that his Sturmhond? When they were like, you know, the Darkling's gonna come after you for this, and he's like, yeah, whatever. I'm like,
Can we start shipping Nikolai and the Darkling? Can like that become a thing? I can just like see it in my head.
we were actually really
Like
good
one thing, and I went, I could see it.
Could happen. Never say never.
Never say never. I'm gonna look up fan art later. See if it exists.
I really liked how Stormhund and Mal had like such a good bro ship. Like,
Yeah. And then he said, wait, I'm the prince. And Mal said, what? And then
No.
they stopped talking. No, you can't be the
Yeah.
prince. I like was a commoner.
I also feel like there are a lot of things that I didn't notice while reading later books that I just like didn't realize because I didn't know what was going on. And now rereading has just like opened up my eyes a lot to Nikolai, and it just makes me love him even more. I don't know, he's a great character, honestly.
I love his moments of vulnerability because like he doesn't show like who he is very often. Like he very much is good at putting up that front and being like, okay, I'm the prince. Okay, I'm the pirate. Okay, I'm the like captain of the guard type deal. And so then there are like little tiny moments where you see his little bits of like insecurities, and like it's so good. And then there is also part of it, it's like, okay, but how much of that is real, especially since we did just see the Darkling in the last book. He was doing those moments where he was like had those moments of insecurities,
Right.
and all of that was like very much front and very much like planned out to get Alina to feel for him. So it's like, okay, but how much of this guy is real also?
Yeah.
There's a moment I tabbed where he's talking, where Alina and him are talking, and I just like she said something about how his smile was crooked and genuine, and I was like, I love that trope. Cocky, arrogant man finally cracks a real smile, and it's all crooked and lopsided, and I'm like, that's a good trope. More, please. Tab.
You would like Edward Cullen then.
That's the conclusion you drew.
Oh my god, Nicole.
Actually, Nicole, I know I wouldn't, because I watched the movies and I was like, this is the creepiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Nicole is killing me today. What the heck?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think it's interesting too. Alina points that out a few times where she's like, I don't know if you're telling me this because you know that like I'm the orphan who will sympathize with you, or if this is genuine. How she's like, I hate that about you, how you always say the right thing. Cause like he does. And I'll be like, oh, he just said like the perfect thing. And then I'll be like, oh, it was planned. Got me. Do we have any more characters we want to dive into?
Oh, I just wanted to say that I think Zoya is all of a sudden like the coolest. Like seeing her in a different light. And then Catherine, was it you in the Discord that said something about how Alina is like realizing that she's not her enemy?
She says at one point, hold on, let me find the quote because of course I tabbed it.
I think I did that too.
Where it was she says gorgeous as she might be, Zoya wasn't the problem. Mal was leaving, I was letting him go. And like I love I felt like that was such a good development on Alina's part of her like realizing this isn't on Zoya. This is on like our relationship and our insecurities with each other. So yeah, but I also just really think Zoya is a fascinating character because she is very like she's selfish and she like does what she has to do to survive, but she also like is one of the only ones who like keeps her head when everything is like falling down around them, and she like very much takes charge, and I love her. I just really like her.
Yeah. I also agree, like she is another gray side character where she originally like was working with the Darkling, and I think like would still have been if he hadn't affected her personally by like going after her family, like unintentionally, but also he didn't care. So it's interesting because I feel like morally she'd be like, whatever, but because she was affected by it, she's like, okay, I'm no longer working with him. So I feel like it'll be interesting to see like where her character arc goes, because now she's kind of in this gray area for me.
I think so too. However, I think what am I thinking? Never mind.
I think you're thinking about the third book.
Probably.
Because that's when we get to see her like more. Because I remember loving her in the third book.
Oh,
so I feel like you
excited.
just need to wait.
I remember the first time I read this, I had a friend who had read it like all of them before, and she was like, "Oh my god, Zoya!" Like during Shadow and Bone, I was like, "I don't get it," and then during Siege and Storm, I was like, "I don't get it," and then finally in like the end of Siege and Storm and like the beginning of Ruin and Rising, I'm like, okay, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I do think she kind of has always known that her place with the Darkling was very contingent on like certain things, and she's kind of always known that the Grisha are just kind of pawns for the Darkling to get moved around and to be used and then thrown away. Like I think she definitely experienced that in the first one. So I don't know how much of her loyalty was to the Darkling per se, or how much of it was to having that. I mean, same with like Jenya, where this is all they've ever known ever since they were kids. So it's like how much of that is their loyalty to the Darkling versus they know that if they go other places, they'll get killed or they'll get experimented on or they'll just get used by rich people who want to use their powers. So yeah.
That's very true. Yeah. Do we have anything else we want to touch on before we talk about, I mean, I guess it's only Mare and I who haven't read Ruin and Rising.
Yeah, what do you guys think is going to happen in Ruin and Rising?
Could not tell you. My brain has not gone that far. I feel like at this point, like, I feel like this is an obvious thing, but I'm pretty sure, like, Mal is obviously, like, Alina's endgame. Whereas going into the series, there were so many names floating around. I was like, ooh, interesting. Who's she going to be with? Now I'm like, okay. I can see, I don't know how I feel about that either. He's going to have to do some serious, like, it's a little bit of work to do for me, personally. Don't know what's going to happen with the Firebird or, like, the plans that the Apparat has for her. Not sure how to pronounce anything. Mare, what do you think? I think you probably have better predictions.
Well, I mean, it's a generic YA fantasy plot. I think that she's gonna get together with Mal and forgive him, and they're gonna destroy the Darkling, and they're gonna find the Firebird and destroy the Darkling with that, and happily ever after. I don't know. I'm sure things will.
I feel like because I know it's a continued universe, I'm interested to see. I mean, I guess in that sense, I'd assume the Darkling doesn't make it, like, unless he like shows up in Six of Crows, which I've never heard of. Nicole's like having a moment.
You can't show her.
Nicole, keep it to yourself.
Unless the Darkling is like, I'm healed by Alina's light and I'm a good guy now. Like,
oh my gosh.
I think that I remember when I read Ruin and Rising for the first time, there's like so many like twists that happen that I did not anticipate, and get ready.
Interesting.
I like the idea of Alina having a little moment where her sun magic, her light gets rid of his darkness. Because deep down, he was just a boy with a lot of power.
What I hope happens is I hope Alina joins up with the Darkling, but I don't know if it'll happen.
And destroys Ravka?
Yeah.
What about the innocents?
It's fictional. It just seems like it would be more interesting that way. Like, I'm of course not advocating for people dying, but like, I think it would be interesting and different route if she paired Alina and the Darkling together. But I know it's not going to happen, at least not like Endgame. So maybe she'll like succumb to the darkness fully.
Oh,
I think it would have been like a really interesting ending for Siege and Storm if she had like actually gone with him and something had happened with that. I think that would have been a really interesting twist.
Yeah, I don't know. I just haven't thought this far ahead, clearly. I just don't imagine the Darkling like peacing out. Like, I don't see him as a character. Like, just be like, bye. No longer
it's
exists.
Connor. He pieced out.
Yeah. No. I said yes too quickly. No, disagree. But like, I feel like something's gonna have to happen with his character. But I don't see, like, obviously I see good winning. Like, Alina's gonna save Ravka. It's gonna be a whole thing. But I don't know. I feel like there has to be more that happens with the Darkling. I don't see her just being like, I defeated you. You're gone. Cease to exist. Ooh, we have some. Oh.
Ooh.
That could be really interesting. I love these predictions. See, my brain just doesn't go there. I'm like, tell me the story. That's it.
I'm also really bad at predictions. Like, can't do it.
I either overthink it or I don't let myself think at all. Like, most books I'll sit there and be like, you're related to this person, and I overthink it, and then I just end up disappointing myself, or I'm just like, tell me the story. And this one, I'm like, just tell it to me. I don't want to guess. Okay, does that kind of wrap up our thoughts and feelings on Siege and Storm?
I'd say yeah.
Pretty much.
Beautiful. Thank you to everyone who joined us. Had another good time chaotically discussing this book. Really excited. In 3 weeks, we will be discussing Ruin and Rising on Katie's channel.
Nicole's channel.
I have promoted this to the gods as Katie's channel. So disregard everything that is below. It doesn't exist. Nicole's channel, right? Katie gets the duology.
It's good. I'm controlling the Twitter, so I can take.
Katie will fix it. She will correct my errors. I should have looked into it. I just assumed.
You did it right in the Google Doc, so you're good.
No, I changed it in the Google Doc.
I know. I didn't have it right in the Google Doc. So Ruin and Rising on Nicole's channel in 3 weeks, because of course we do have Valentine's Day in there. And
I guess some people have plans for Valentine's Day.
God, Mare.
Not be me.
I'm sorry.
What's that like? Can't relate.
So we'll just put it off a week. 3 weeks we will discuss Ruin and Rising. We'll see if our predictions come to light or not. And we will see you all in the Discord. Until then.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.